So as a founder and entrepreneur, a big part of my job is making new things and creating anything from new intellectual property to just new positioning, to always trying to kind of meet the leading edge of the wave. But the bit I really struggle with is that bit which is the bridge between making something and then scaling something. So between inventing it and creating it and personally selling a few and kind of declaring victory and then hurling it over the wall to the rest of the business to say, oh, great, off you go. And now let's scale it, and transitioning that into the business.
Can you give an example of something you've tried and why you brought this question up that didn't go quite as well as you might have liked, or you feel you may not have got the balance quite right?
Yes, so it's a recurring theme, but if I pick one that perhaps I started trying about 2 years ago, that was using Lean Startup as a principle in our marketing work. So to me, as I became more and more familiar with Lean Startup, it became completely obvious that we should do all our marketing using the principles of testing and evaluating and learning what marketing machine will work for that company. And so I always try to weave that into proposal. I was always correcting people in the business if they wrote older style proposals. And I was really always trying to kind of weave in this thing that how can we possibly know what we're going to deliver for that client and wrap that in a beautiful price and put a bow on it when we have no idea what's actually going to, either what message or what media are going to work for that client. But of course, that was difficult for people to get conceptually because we'd basically been a very good content agency. So we'd sold content and sold content-based marketing, and B, it's actually quite hard for clients to buy because you're asking them to spend money, trusting that you'll learn what's going to work, but they've no idea what they're going to get. That's certainly created friction between me and the business probably over the last 6 years. And that example, I really tried to kind of push it because it's so obvious to me. And yes,
in the design of that idea, in the months when you came up with the idea, you had a light bulb moment, you had this great idea. From then to starting to try it with clients and so on, and doing proposals, what would you say was the process of engagement that you used with your own people in terms of them coming on board? What did you do to get them on board and invite their ideas?
So I think I can share my perception and they might have a very different perception. My perception was that I kind of talked about it more. So if people asked my advice about things or we did a coaching session, then I would bring it up more. I started to write it in, put my own proposals. I also, when I worked on other people's proposals, I wrote it in, which often wasn't very helpful because that was not what they'd asked me to do. And then I remember we did a 2-day, we used to do kind of regular boot camps. So perhaps every 6 months, we'd go away to a hotel for 2 days and we'd do loads of stuff on the business together. And I remember us getting kind of 2 o'clock on day 2 and everybody's heads were in their hands. So we'd kind of, I'd hammered them through a day and a half of it, feeling like, well, this is our time to do great strategic stuff. And they kind of come with me. And by 2 o'clock, everybody was like, oh, I just don't get it. I don't know how we're going to sell it. That was quite a low moment. However, and I kind of dropped it after that. And I thought, well, I'll do it with clients I directly work on when invited, but I won't push it anymore. But then the rest of the business started to do their own research. They, I think, ended up going to some conferences, or it's that principle where you hear about it and then you see more and more of it. And then they were giving me the lesson 18 months later. I remember somebody saying, I mean, I can't believe that client didn't get that lean startup was the right thing to do. So they've taken their own route to it. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, can you hear yourself speak to me what you think the answer might be?
Yes. Well, yes, but I still don't know how to do that first bit. So what I hear is when people decide for themselves that something is important and worth exploring, it will naturally come to them because they'll see and experience more of it, and they'll go out and find it because it's interesting and they consider it's important. But I don't know how to signpost what is important without it being push, because essentially that's what I was doing.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I get it. It's that initial that balance between I'd call it leadership and management. There's a lovely saying, which is a great leader doesn't teach his or her people how to build a boat. He or she teaches his people the love of the sea.
Yeah.
And it strikes me that the benefits of that idea of lean startup and what it can do for clients, what it can do for society, I didn't hear very much passion in terms of you giving me an example of what you did to teach them the equivalent of the love of the sea. I'm not sure how much there was of it, rather than going fairly quickly past that and into the how and the what to do, into the detail. Because I think people who were then naturally of your staff, who would then naturally like the sound of it and feel attracted to it to start with, would then have started to go out and look in the market. It's that signposting that I would encourage much more of, and not just once, but it might take several months of the dream, of the love of the sea equivalent, of the benefits of this for our clients and for us. And then when you feel you've got that, it's like almost, I've got another image of introducing Marmite to someone who's never tasted it before. It might take quite a long time, and they might need to try it with lots of different things before they get it, before they like it, rather than you shoving it on the toast every morning and giving it to them whether they like it or not. So I think it's that initial engagement, sales job, to put it bluntly, which is where I would recommend you focus your energies. And only when that's embedded and you feel you've got real traction, would you then start to get into more of the detail.
Thank you.